right. Week 2 of the fantasy football show is here. Let's first take a look at what happened in week 1, the first week of the regular season. Some very interesting score lines. A lot of players underproducing, some with some crazy overproducing. Question is, will that continue? First, into the matchup of myself versus the defending champ, and the defending champ gets a week 1 easy victory, 135 to my 99. Pretty solid performance from Cheese's team. Murray kind of just did okay with only 14, but he had good games from Gibbs as running back, a great game from Achane as he was getting rushes on the goal line. He was getting a bunch of catches, although he did pick up a slight injury. We'll see if he's okay. Mike Evans had a monster game with 2 touchdowns and really burned me. Rashid Rice got him started. Guy should be in prison, but somehow is playing and got him 17 points. George Kittle just kind of followed the trend of all the other tight ends so far this week that really underproduced. Montgomery, though, his Lions running backs did the job for him and overcame DK's slow start getting shut down by Surtain. But overall, he had a couple guys that put up bad performances, but then he had most of his team put up either solid or over what they were expected to get, and that's what gets you 135. So very strong start for Cheese on my side. There wasn't too many highlights. Kenneth Walker had a nice game, but he also got banged up. James Cook got used a lot, had 19 carries, had some catches, looked pretty solid, just didn't get a touchdown, so only got 13. Adams did not look that great, although he got 6 targets, but that Raiders offense looked bad. Kincaid was probably my biggest downer of the week. I was expecting a lot more from him, and he only got 2 targets and only 1 catch, almost had a goose egg. And then Mostert did not get any work, didn't even get the goal line carry, and is now hurt. So Mostert was the one draft pick that I took that I wasn't that happy taking, but I had to take because I needed a third running back at the time. And it's looking like I was right to be suspect of him because he's not looking good so far. But we'll see how long his injury is and when he comes back. Debo and Walker were my only bright spots. Debo looked very good. Hopefully McCaffrey's out for a while and Debo can keep getting used as a runner and in the passing game as well. Overall, disappointing week, only 99 points. Gonna have to do much better than that. Had a lot of slow starts, hoping that my wide receivers pick it up in the weeks to follow. Cheese, your comments after your comfortable win and your strong start at 1-0.
Very happy with my
Move your
performance.
mic a little closer because we can barely hear you.
Very happy with the performances. Metcalf got shut down. It's not going to happen again.
Okay.
And I think that week 1 was one of the lowest passing weeks ever. So
Yep.
I'm not going to take into account some bad wide receiver games. But my pro racer looking like the Chiefs wide receiver 1, and that's what we wanted. So very, very
Okay.
happy.
Okay. I mean, he didn't get the touchdowns. Those
He
went
got the
to Xavier
targets though.
Worthy.
He got the
He
targets
did
though.
get the targets, but there's another wide receiver coming back in that offense pretty soon, so we'll
Well,
see if
I'm
that
hoping
continues.
he'll establish his dominance.
And Kelsey didn't really get much either that first game, but
Kelsey's looking old.
okay. All right. So overall, pretty happy then with your team.
And we have Jane Daniels, who will be starting.
Oh, okay, strong. Yeah, he had 28 points on your bench. So a big game for him. Looked good running the ball. I don't know about passing, but running the
The
ball, he looked very good.
Commanders' O-line is so bad that he will have to run
Okay, so you're
at the end of
already
the
making a
game.
prediction. You're starting him this in week 2,
For
huh?
now, Kyler could step
Already
it up, but
benching Kyler Murray
he's
after
going
one
in.
game. Wow.
Yeah, that midget was too short to see, but
Oh,
Marvin
okay.
Harrison open, so I don't know. Got to
Hmm.
work on that.
Okay. All right. Rat, you have any comments on this matchup you'd like to make? I know you don't like seeing
Uh,
Cheese win, but he's off to a strong start.
Rashi Rice should be in jail.
I agree.
But he won't,
I
so I'm
agree.
I
like,
have a question for Cheese on the show.
hmm
If, let's just say, anybody else in the accident, are you freaking out they did that? Or is it just because he's on your fantasy team, buddy?
I mean, he didn't. Did anybody like die? I don't think so.
Well, since when were you a guy that cares about that?
I mean, other people done much worse on other people's teams. We don't talk about that.
Okay, fair
Didn't Joe
point.
Mixon like beat his girlfriend?
Ah,
Didn't your
fair
boy
point,
Tyreek
Cheese.
Hill beat his girlfriend? Like,
And
what
he's
did he
not
do?
on my team.
My guy in a little car accident and like everyone's
A
fine.
little car accident. I like how you
Like
threw the word little in there. I'm pretty sure he was going like three
he
times
was
the
just doing
speed limit and
he was just doing
crashed.
car pranks, okay? He was
Oh,
just doing a prank. Like
okay.
no one got hurt. He was good.
Little
Like I
car
don't know. I'd
accident.
rather have my guy like, car accident versus beat his girlfriend up. I don't know. I feel
Okay.
like one of those is worse than the other.
I mean, if you kill someone in a car accident, I think
But
that's
a car
worse.
accident's like indiscriminate while, mixing shows to be his girlfriend, so
All right, we
And
can
he
stop with the political
actually
views.
got.
She's.
Okay.
well, next year when he gets suspended, I won't draft him. So
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
All right. Well, the good thing about the weeks 1 through 3 is you always have a chance for revenge. So I will definitely be coming for revenge later in the season, and hopefully my team performs better then. Moving on to the next matchup of last week, we had the St. Louis Actives Matt get taken down by Rats Mason and friends. He is 1-0, 145 to 106. Very strong start for Rats team. Stroud had a very solid game, looked pretty good, throwing the ball. Hit all his wide receivers really, got them all involved, and had 2 touchdowns. Looked pretty good. He also had 4 carries, which was a little surprising. I think he's trying to prove to everyone out there that's saying he doesn't run that he can run. I guess. I hope he doesn't get hurt running. Obviously, the story was right before the San Francisco game on Monday night. McCaffrey was ruled out, shockingly. Number 1 overall draft pick this year by Rat that he traded up to take is now having injury problems already, and he hasn't even played a game. It's luckily for Rat though, as a smart general manager that Rat is, he was able to get the true backup of the 49ers, Jordan Mason, and so that's a big plus for Rat that he can withstand the McCaffrey injury while having Mason, who looked very good on Monday night. 28 carries. I don't know if that's going to continue. Surely they're not going to. I mean, maybe they're going to work him that much because they know McCaffrey's eventually coming back, so they're just going to overwork him now. But I don't know. We'll see in the future weeks here if McCaffrey's out longer, if he continues to look this good. But he did run all over the Jets on Monday night. Jerome Ford also looked pretty solid. Took a while for Ford to start getting some points, but then late in the game he got a touchdown, which really helped in garbage time. Nico Collins had a solid game, over 100 yards on 6 catches, very solid 17 points. Devontae Smith also with a solid game, 8 targets as well for 15 points. Bowers also with 8 targets, so a lot of targets for Rats receivers who were a little bit in question by some people on how good they could be, like Bowers and Pickens and Nico with now 3 wide receivers, but they all got quite a bit of targets. 7 targets for Pickens as well, had a strong double-digit gain. Brian Robinson, the acquirement from Pusa. I just wish Pusa was here so we could ask him if he regrets trading him Brian Robinson and Ford, as they both got 18 and 17.9 points, respectively, and really helped Rat bolster his running backs that were very short. I think that trade is definitely looking. I know T. Higgins was out, but I think helping Rat with those running backs and both them putting up strong week ones, I would say that leans towards Rat at the moment winning that trade. But it's a long season. On the Matt's side, kind of just some positives but some negatives. Very similar to my team. He had some strong performances, but then he also had some very underperforming performances. Richardson obviously was a strong performance, looked very great running and passing, 3 total touchdowns, 26 huge points. Bijan Robinson also had a strong game, getting the work and the usage that you would want to see from him. Etienne almost had 2 touchdowns and lost one right on the goal line, so he only ends up with 11, but he could have easily been about 17 or 18 points. Diggs got a touchdown, had 6 targets. As I said, Nico got 8, Diggs got 6, Tank Dell got some as well. So 21 big points for Diggs to silence some of the questions on how good he could be in that 3 wide receiver Houston team. They had plenty of plays in that game, so Stroud was able to throw it a bunch, which helps. We'll see in future games if he can get as many targets if Houston doesn't have as many possessions. DJ Moore was kind of a shaky spot. Did get 10 points, did have 8 targets, but that Bears offense did not look very good. So we'll see in the future if it improves. Mark Andrews was obviously a huge disappointment for Matt on Thursday. did not look very involved, and now he's got to deal with Isaiah Likely possibly being like the tight end over him. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe the injuries are getting a slow start for Andrews, but it was a little rough. Swift as well, got 10 carries, only 30 yards, didn't sniff the end zone, so not very good. And then Addison, it was Justin Jefferson getting the touchdown. Addison kind of only with 4 targets. Not much to say. Andy's still battling the injury concern. So overall, a little bit shaky on the back end of Matt's team from tight end down. Both his flexes only produced a total of 11 points. You don't want to see that from the 2 flexes. You want to see in the double digits like on Rat's team, and that's kind of what was the big difference in Rat getting the victory. Rat, you are off to another strong start. You had a very strong start last year in the league, and then you faltered in the playoff time. So another strong start this year, 1-0. Your thoughts after beating Matt in week 1?
Well, we don't have to talk about last year, and
okay.
I would like to thank a couple people. I'm going to start with Zach for drafting who he thought was the backup in round 12.
Yes, he drafted Elijah Mitchell, who's out for the year.
The news that came out a week later, he was out for the year. And I picked Mason in the 16th round, so thanks, Zach, for being dumb.
Great value, unbelievable value from the 16th round. You know, everyone always says during the draft, oh, these are the nobodies. These are the nobodies. Yeah. Nobody cares about none of these picks are going to matter when we get into the 16th round. Well, that just shows you it's not true. Huge 16th round pick, because now Mason looks like he can put up some points for the next few weeks while your McCaffrey possibly is out.
I would like to thank Pusa for the running backs, because I feel like I had a lot of wide receiver depth, so I was able to filter through that. And then thank Pook for PPR, because look at all those targets, even from my running backs. And I think that will continue.
4 and 7 catches.
I think Nico was also a big target guy, and he did miss it. I saw Stroud miss a touchdown, which could have given more. So I do think Stroud and Nico are Nico's still the X factor in that offense.
Yeah. Okay.
But happy performance. I love my Eagles. Go Devontae Smith. Yeah.
You loved your Eagles? You mean your Eagle?
Yeah.
You only have one Eagle on your team.
Everything. I love my Eagles, and I love my Eagles. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Very happy with my team, and very happy to have Mason beat the back end when CMC can rest.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like after the draft, a lot of people are putting doubt on your team, looking at your team, and you've already improved your team with trades, I would say, and your team is looking very strong, I think, at the moment. Now we'll see what happens with McCaffrey. We'll see what happens if if Chubb ever comes back. There's some other things that could affect some of your players that are playing good right now. So we'll see down the line what happens. But at the moment, your team is definitely one of the stronger ones in the league, I would say, based on this Week 1 performance. Geez, any comments you have on this matchup?
Can't believe Pusa gifted him players like that. It's crazy.
I feel like we went back and forth on this trade about 3 different times in the last week. We started out saying it was a great trade for Rat. Then we said that Pusa raped Rat because T. Higgins was out and Waddle played, and now it looks more like Rat raped.
Yeah. Well, Rat team's solid, very solid. I just like it. My issue with Mason is that he's not going to get 28 carries every night. That's ridiculous.
I mean, he could for the next 2 weeks.
Well, he won't when McCaffrey's back.
But we'll see. I think McCaffrey, you gotta see how long that injury actually is, because that could be something where it's like, oh, he's going to be out next week, and then that next week turns into 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, they haven't put him on IR yet, but I mean,
I've made it clear.
The thing is, it doesn't really matter how long he's out because
I've made it clear
got Mason.
that CMC can rest.
Yeah. I think it's just a very solid team so far. Okay. We'll see how it goes. Matt's team is
I don't think it's as bad as what he's trying to say in the chat. Matt's doing his typical thing where oh, poor me, look, I have the worst team in the league, even though he doesn't actually believe that.
No, it's not that bad. It's just
it's not as bad as he's trying to make it seem. Yes,
his
flexes,
which
we said last year, or we said last week, his flexes are a big question mark, and they did not perform. But the top half of his lineup is very solid and will have good games. If Richardson continues to do what he does in Week 1, he'll be a top quarterback to have in fantasy. So I don't think it's as bad as what
Matt
Matt is
keeps
trying to say.
saying he has the worst team, but we
Yes.
haven't been through the other teams.
That's what
Just
I'm
lost
saying. It is
players,
definitely
and
not the worst team.
we have a lot
And
in the show to talk about.
if he
Some
changes, if the Bears offense gets going, then his flexes are a little better. So,
I think the Bears' offense will be better than what we saw. It won't be that bad.
oh God, I
I
would
think.
hope so.
I think Andrews is still
Even
kind
the
of hurt.
Broncos offense looked better than the Bears in
Look,
week 1. And
he is better his head.
So,
But yeah, wrap this
for
up.
Tyler's sake, it better get better because as much
Well,
as he talked about Caleb Williams, it better get better. All right, moving on to the blowout. Well, one of the two blowouts of the week. And it's two guys blowing teams out that we kind of didn't expect to go down like this. But Zach, our last place loser last year, comes out with a huge performance, 154-74 over Tyler. Tyler's team name is looking like it's the opposite. It looks like it's a revision to the mean for Zach, not for Tyler, because Tyler's kind of same old as last year, only 74 points. That's the lowest on the week, just barely, but out just under Pook's 74.62. Zach, on the other hand, 154. I mean, I don't even think Tyler didn't have a chance. I mean, you might as well score 74 because you weren't going to beat Zach's huge performance. He got it started on Thursday night with Lemar running all over the place, 16 carries, 122 yards, looking very good for 25 huge points. Jonathan Taylor had a solid game, got a touchdown. Austin Eckler got 10 points. We were watching the game going, well, where's Eckler? Is Eckler ever going to get involved? Because it was Brian Robinson. But he ends up getting 4 catches and ends up with 10 points. Judy also had 11 and a touchdown. So, Zach's wide receivers that we all questioned, they all produced in week 1. Jaden Reed, 33 huge points, stuns everyone, gets a 33-yard carry for a touchdown, has 6 catches. Burns could have had 3 touchdowns in this game, was just open all night long, deep. So a huge game from him. Travis Kelce was the one disappointment from Zach's team. Did not look very good. Did not get many targets. Cost me my bet as well by 1 yard, so fuck him. Did not look very good. Jamison Williams, though, a huge breakout week 1 game. Some people kind of thought maybe he could have a breakout season, and he gets off to a strong start with 9 targets. That's not good for St. Brown owners if he's getting 9 targets each week. We'll see if it continues, but he had a very, very good, strong week 1. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, once he got out of handcuffs, did his normal thing with 26 huge points. Looks like, now with the McCaffrey injury, looks like the clear number 1 pick for this year so far. We'll see if he stays healthy and continues to do that. But if he's healthy and on the field, he's putting up 20-point numbers. And then Tucker missed a long kick that almost sent Zach into depression early in the Thursday night game. But it's Tucker. I'm sure he'll be fine the rest of the year. On Tyler's side, he started Trevor Lawrence, who only got 11 points, did not look very good, to continue the trend of quarterbacks not looking good in week 1. Joe Mixon was his one bright spot with 26 huge points, got 30 carries. 30 carries. I'm curious to see with Houston going forward when they don't get as many possessions, because they had a shit ton of possessions and plays in that game. What gives? Does the carries give for Mixon, or does the pass attempts give for Stroud? I don't know. Is Houston going to become a running team now that they got Mixon? I mean, he looked very, very strong running the ball. So we'll see what happens with Houston going forward on if they pass or they run. Last year they couldn't run to save their life. This year maybe they can. Zamir White was also a huge disappointment. Got 13 carries, but did not look very involved, did not run well. The Raiders' offense did not move the ball. St. Brown as well, another huge disappointment. Chris Olave, another huge disappointment. I'm sure if Tyler was here, he would say there's no way all his 3-headed wide receivers of Pittman, Olave, and St. Brown will put up basically 10 points combined or 14 points combined again this season. He'll probably be right on that, but this week was a disaster for all 3 of those guys. Ingram as well, joining the tight end disappointments of Kincaid and Kelce and many others with only 1 catch for 5 yards. So just disastrous all the way down his lineup, really. Kirk as well, only 4 points. I mean, when you score the least points on the week, there's a lot of single-digit crappy performances in your lineup. With 2 flexes now, it just looks even worse when they have it. So rough go for Tyler's team in week 1. Huge win for Zach to start out 1-0. I know, talking to him, he did not want to start 0-1 again and get the depression going for the season. So it's a very strong start for him, putting up the points he did, and we'll see if he can continue it. I know some people have some opinions on Zach's team. Cheese, I'm sure you're one of them. Go ahead.
Look, I'll admit I was wrong. He had a great performance.
Okay.
The only thing I don't like is Jerry Jeudy is not like I don't think he's reliable every week.
Okay.
Mainly because he had 3 catches on 8 receptions, and Deshaun sexual assaultson is looking like the worst quarterback in the league, besides Danny Dimes.
Yeah. I mean,
And I also don't think Jason Williams is gonna put that many points every week because he said there's gonna be St. Brown weeks.
yep.
But he'll be solid. But yeah, I think Zach got a very solid team. I just I don't know how sustainable it is to score this many points, but I still think it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, I don't think his team's gonna score this
Because
much every week.
I feel like there could be a week where like Jeudy doesn't get that touchdown. He has like 3 points instead.
I mean,
right?
Jordan Love too getting hurt is probably gonna hurt Jaden Reed. I mean, Malik Willis
I think
is
Reed will be
trash.
solid still. Like
Malik Willis
I think,
is trash, like
Yeah.
really, really bad. Like
but
can't hit
even with
wide
Love, I
receivers.
don't think Reed's gonna get 30 every week, right? He's not Tyreek Hill,
No, but he would be
I just think that like
good.
his good players really popped off, and then all of his we were players we were questioning.
Yeah.
They also had really good weeks. I don't know if that will continue.
I mean, even
But it's
Dobbins on
good.
his bench got 22, which
Yeah, so
nobody
I think if he puts in Dobbins, he's in way more solid position. They got Eckler putting Dobbins, but
But I don't
we'll
even
see
know if
how
Dobbins
his,
is going to keep doing what he did.
Yeah, so
There's a lot
it's
of
good
questions.
for now, but we don't. But like week 5, will these guys still be putting these numbers up? I don't know.
Yes, that's a good point.
But
I
I think
also
it's
have questions.
it's looking like a solid team though. If you any week you put 154, your team's doing great.
Very strong.
Tyler's team, Zamir White's looking like a bust. After week 1, I'll say that. I mean, it could be better, but week 1 was a heavy running week, and he did
Doesn't
nothing.
he have 2 quarterbacks? Oh yeah, Tua. He chose the wrong one to start. Not that it mattered, but Tua had 18.
I think Tua is a solid scorer if he puts in Tua.
11.
Tua will always get some points.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because as I said, the passing was terrible this week, so I think his wide receivers will definitely improve.
Yeah.
It's just Olave. I've never liked Olave. I feel like he's a good talented, but like Derek Carr is just bad.
Yeah, I mean they score 47 points and Olave
and he
only
gets
has
nothing.
3. That's got to be.
And then I'm not gonna for Engram.
It's not
I'm
like
not
the
gonna blame
offense
him.
was horrible for the Saints.
Yeah, so like I think I'll have better days ahead for sure, but he might have to make some moves. But like Singletary had 9 points on the bench. Like that's not bad. He could sub him in, so there's options.
I will talk about
All
that.
right, Rat.
But I have to apologize to Zach. I have to be fair and honest.
Okay.
I was one of the ones to pick Zach to win.
Okay. Yes.
My hot take was Williams would outscore St. Brown that night, if you remember that.
Yes, you did say that, and you were correct on that. Great call. Hello, Zombie.
I think, like she said, there's some holes to figure out. Jerry Jeudy, I agree with. Reed, I mean, he can give a solid 10 points. I think Williams will still be 10 to 12 points. I think the biggest question is honestly Travis Kelce, because even from last year, he wasn't getting his targets. And does it really improve this year again? And so far, it shouldn't now.
Yeah, but but a lot of tight ends had horrible week ones, so
but
we'll see what happens.
I have not seen.
I think
J.K.
Zach.
Dobbins,
I think Zach should be more concerned with Jeudy and now Reed with Love being hurt on if those guys are going to continue to put up points like they did.
And he did play Tyler. Zamir White is kind of scary after losing Madison. After Madison taking over that backfield. Olave. I mean, a blowout game against Carolina, and he's only getting 2 targets is kind of crazy. You would think he would be the guy. So he's questionable. I still like Michael Pittman. Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas look good. So, I mean, does he become the wide receiver 2 in that offense? I think Tyler's team's more to worry about.
Okay, so you'd be panicking if you had Tyler's team right now.
Yes, I would be.
Okay.
I mean, again, that 47 to 10 with Olave is just, it doesn't make sense how he was the one only getting 3 points.
Yep, I would agree. I'd be a little concerned about that. But all right, Zombie, you have any thoughts for Zach and Tyler's matchup? Zach's team popping off, Tyler's team not performing?
Zach, that motherfucker had a good week.
Okay.
But
motherfucker.
I don't think
Is it
his team
sustainable is
is
the
that
question.
good. No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, that's what
Just
we've been
like,
debating.
yeah. I think that Tyler is gonna pull off the win this week.
Okay, well, we're not into week 2 yet, but okay. Nice little preview there. I don't even know who Tyler plays yet, but we'll
I
look.
mean, I think Zach's team, like he'll be like a consistent like 100 to 110, and maybe the pop both weeks again will be 120 to 130. But I just don't see this team.
Okay, so seeing Zach's team this week,
Yeah.
sounds like there's some optimism. So let me ask you this: Is Zach getting last place again this year?
No,
No.
Now,
there's a
let's
lot
say
worse teams
barring he
than
doesn't
Zach.
make any horrible trades that we're not gonna factor in that he makes any horrible trades. If he doesn't make any horrible trades, does he finish last?
Tyreek Hill will not get in
No,
last place,
Okay.
and
Fake
he's
Red is
not getting.
finishing last.
Oh, wow. Oh
I'm
my
just kidding.
God. All right. Well, we went
Tyreek,
over Rat's matchup already, but wow, that's a hot take.
Pusa is
Okay.
finishing last.
Oh,
yeah,
Puss. Oh, okay. All
Tyreek
right.
Hill will not let Zach finish last if he
I
keeps
would
him
agree
on.
with that. I would agree with that. All right. And then, real quickly before we move to the next matchup, any regret from the number 1 and number 2 picks on not taking Tyreek Hill?
No,
I
No.
will be
because
asking you this a
after,
lot during the season, so we'll
I
ask
mean,
after week 1.
again, 16th round, Jordan Mason, 22 points to start is not. I
Okay.
can't worry yet, especially with McCaffrey. If he just
I
rests
like how
up,
you're
get
trying
better.
to tie in Jordan Mason to Christian
Well,
McCaffrey.
yeah, but
I mean,
it's
there's
true
no
though.
guarantee that McCaffrey is
What
getting
if Brees
22
Hall got
points.
hurt and Zombie just didn't have his rookie? Like that would be something to worry about.
Yes, but I'm just saying you got to look at, okay, McCaffrey's hurt right now.
Yeah.
Brees Hall looked okay, but he didn't look like on the level of a McCaffrey or a Tyreek Hill. So are we regretting yet not taking Tyreek Hill? That's
I
the
will.
question.
I'm not.
So
I
neither of
will
you
be
are
worried.
yet. Okay.
No,
All
I
right.
will be worried by week 7 if he's not playing.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, moving on to our second huge blowout of the week. So we had Zach blowing out Tyler, which was a big surprise, and then we had Ernie
Matchup of the week.
absolutely giving it to Pook, 150 to 74. Pook's team with a huge disappointment week. Luckily, as you know, Pook can say he wasn't the lowest scorer of the week. That thanks to Tyler, but it was not pretty. Say it with me, PPR. Didn't have a lot going on in the PPR front. Caleb Williams with a horrible Week 1 game against Tennessee. Bill's prediction that Tennessee's defense would shut him down came true, as really the only reason they won that game was because of defense and special teams. He did not do anything, threw for under 100 yards passing, and did not look very good even on the ground game either. Derrick Henry had a okay game on Thursday night, got a touchdown early on in the game, so it looked promising. But then kind of after that touchdown, didn't do a whole lot. Only had 46 yards on only 13 carries, was 0 for 2 on his passes as well. So say it with me, PPR, his running back did not catch any passes. Josh Jacobs with 12 points is I think 12 points for Josh Jacobs in that game was a pretty decent result. Had 84 carries, got it going late in the second half. Started getting some running holes in the first half. He was getting absolutely smothered by the line.
84 carries.
84 yards on 16 carries. So he had 84 yards, which in that first half, it did not look like he had any chance of getting to 84 yards. But in the second half, he broke some bigger runs, had 2 or 3 passing. So overall, not horrible. We'll see now with Jordan Love injury. I'm sure they will want to run the ball a little bit more, so that could help Jacobs a little bit. Justin Jefferson did catch a touchdown, had 4 catches, 59 yards. So pretty solid game for Jefferson considering Sam Darnold's his quarterback. Not the huge games that we're accustomed to Jefferson having, but with the situation, first game of the season, Sam Darnold, he looked pretty solid. Amari Cooper, obviously we've talked about how bad the Browns looked, how bad Deshaun Watson was. That's got to be a bit of concern with Cooper. Had 9 targets, but only caught 2 of them for 16 yards. The Browns were just a mess. Deshaun Watson was a mess. The targets was good, so maybe you can hold the silver lining of maybe in the future they don't look as bad, and the 9 targets turns into like 7 catches in the future. Jake Ferguson, does anyone hurt? Is his injury not that bad, or?
They're saying it's like a bruise or something
He's
like
out
that.
for at least
Because
one more week.
it did not look good on the field. when
The
it
most recent
happened.
update is no practice, but feeling good.
Oh, okay, so maybe he avoided any major injury.
He has
Did not
a
look good on the field. But
He has a bone bruise, though. That shit's gonna linger.
all right. Well, he did not get much going in the game, only 4.5 points, but that kind of was the theme
McCarthy
with
is
tight ends.
optimistic he will play Sunday.
Oh, all right. So maybe he won't miss a week. Keenan Allen had 11 targets, so Pook was a little bit right with the target hog, but only 4 catches leads back to the whole Bears offense looking really bad. Scary Terry was kind of the big surprise. I thought he would have a very good game in week 1. I thought he would get a lot more targets than 4. So that was a big kind of surprise of only 3.7 points for him. So overall, all of Pook's wide receivers were kind of huge disappointments besides Jefferson. And that's what gets you such a low total when both, as we already talked about, when both your flexes only get you like a combined 10 points and one of your wide receivers has a bad game, and then you throw in your running backs just kind of doing okay but not popping off, that's what gets you the low points. On Ernie's side, what wasn't to love about Ernie's team in week 1? Mahomes, a little bit concerning, only 15 points, but as we already mentioned, a lot of quarterbacks had bad week 1s, so 15's not too bad considering a lot of the other quarterbacks. The huge story, Saquon Barkley. Ernie did call it when he drafted him in the first round that this guy was going to be the guy this year, and he did not disappoint. 33 huge points. 3 total touchdowns, caught one, ran 2 in, had over 100 yards rushing, looked like a bell cow running back for the Eagles, and looked very, very good. I'm assuming that will continue with the Eagles, but I don't know about 33, obviously, each week, but he looked very good, and probably a strong contender to get around 20 each week. Kyren Williams also had a decent game, 14 points, got a touchdown, 50 yards, looked pretty solid for the Rams. Tank Dell, kind of just mediocre. He was like the 3rd wide receiver for Houston. We've all kind of predicted him to be the 3rd wide receiver for Houston. Only 8.9 points. He did miss a touchdown, though, that he could have had in the game, which would have obviously put him right around the other guys' numbers. So we'll see going forward how he looks, if he continues to be the 3rd wheel or if he has some pop-off games. Calvin Ridley, only 8 points. Titans offense is a disaster. I'm not sure about Ridley moving forward. Kyle Pitts did get a touchdown, which for 11 points from a tight end this week is very good. So Ernie will take that every week if he can get it from Pitts. And then Kamara, obviously, a lot of people were pretty high on Kamara, at least starting off this season, and he did not disappoint. Had 83 yards, 5 catches, got a touchdown, 22 big points. And Ernie's flex Ladd McConkey, put him in there, and he looked pretty solid. Had 7 targets, had a touchdown, 14.9 from one of your back-end flexes as a rookie. Very solid first game for him and for the Chargers. And then obviously Ernie's kicker Aubrey had a monster, 22 huge points. If you're getting 22 from your kicker, you're going to score a lot of points if all your other guys chip in with their points. So big game, looks very solid. He could have made a 71-yarder potentially if fucking Mike McCarthy wasn't a pussy and just let him kick it. He was going to let him kick it from 66. You might as well just let him try to kick it.
And he would have made the 71 probably.
Yeah, he would have. He made the 66, no problem. Come on, yeah. Mike, you watch the guy kick the 66, no problem, and then they get the penalty, and so then he just takes them off the field. I don't get it. Just let him try it. Would have been a record. But anyways, big week for Ernie. I know he loves beating Pook and especially blowing him out like this. Over double Pook's points, or just over double Pook's points. So huge win for him. I'm sure Pook, we all like to shit on Pook when he has a bad team or a bad week. We did it last year when he started off slow. But Pook always, starts to pick it up or make some moves and then picks it up. So we'll see if Pook can rebound from this. I'm sure he'll be trying. Go ahead, Rat. You want to make comments? I'm sure it's
Pook should be worried.
Oh, okay. He should be worried. Okay.
This Derrick Henry got carried. You don't bring in Derrick Henry to your team and play your backup running back more.
No, it's the 3rd downs. He's not on the field.
All those targets, and they got fucking butterhands over there, and yeah. So okay. Pook, say it with me, Pook, PPR. But you got to catch it, buddy.
Okay.
Got to catch the ball for the stats to count. So we'll see next time, but.
Looking at Pook's bench, he has Goff in case Caleb Williams continues to look like
a
bust.
Well, Goff at 11.
I know, but Goff, you'll figure Goff will have some decent games in that line.
Be worried, Pook.
Be worried. Wow. Okay, strong statements there from Rat about Pook's team. Anybody else gonna piggyback on Rat saying Pook should be worried?
Look,
Sorry.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Let
Okay.
me go for a zombie, bitch. You were last.
Oh,
Go ahead, Chief.
Um, Look, I think, as I said with Tyler, the Bears' offense will be better.
Okay.
I think Caleb Williams is getting 7 points every game. And the Keenan Allen targets are pretty good. Eventually, he'll catch them.
Okay.
I think Harry will get better, but I think that might take a while. Just because James Daniels is too raw. But Amari Cooper is not. I don't know. I don't feel optimistic about him.
Okay.
Just because, as we said, the Bears. I saw some of the worst throws I've ever seen in a football game.
Okay.
So I don't know about that. And obviously, Derrick Henry is not. He's like fine, but like he's not what he would draft. Like I think he was hoping for a solid RB1. He's gonna be like RB2 flex
Okay.
with maybe some pop off game.
All right. All right. Zombie, any comments? I know you love to comment on Pook's team.
My boy Pook, he had a bad day at the office. I don't think his team is that bad. I think he just had
Okay. So you're
a
not
bunch
panicking.
of bad. Yeah, he just had a bunch of bad luck this week.
Okay.
fuck.
All right.
His fucking all his players have targets, but they got bad quarterbacks throwing
Look,
them ball.
If he
Okay.
played Tyler, he would be 1-0.
Are you?
Oh.
But the question is, are these quarterbacks going to continue to be bad and become a problem? Because you can get the targets, but if
I
the
think
quarterback's so bad and can't hit them anywhere to make a catch, then it
no, I
affects the
think the
wide receiver.
Browns will bench Watson, and I think
Okay.
Caleb will just get better
Okay. All right. Fair
more
enough.
throughout the seasons.
Alrighty.
Plus, if Dunze's out, that helps him. That helps Pook with his boy Keenan.
All right. All right. Moving on then to the next matchup.
Oh God.
Not too many
Go back.
close games this week. Zach's here. Okay. Zach, hello.
Hello.
Hello. We've already gone over your matchup versus Tyler, but would you like to make any comments on your dismantling of Tyler?
Yeah, get fucked. That was probably the easiest game I've ever done in fantasy football in my life.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it had to be against Tyler.
Okay.
It'll be 10 times worse in week 3, though.
Oh, okay. And everybody here is saying your team is not the worst and you won't finish last this year. So I'm sure you're happy to hear that everyone has said that they're giving you some credit, that your team is not the worst team in the league. So, all right, moving on to the next matchup. We had Bill versus Slaps, and Bill took care of business 139-99. So another disappointing week 1 for Slaps, only scoring 99 points. Bill, very solid, 139. Obviously, Josh Allen, the guy you always drafts, and he performed in week 1, 31 huge points. He plays Thursday night this week, so he should put up another strong game as well. Obviously, looking like one of the top quarterbacks and looking like for a third-round pick that Bill always takes, he's looking strong. Pacheco, who obviously Bill has put a lot on as his RB1, had a solid game, got into the end zone for a touchdown for 15. Not a bad start for him. James Conner was a big story in week 1, got used a ton, got a touchdown, 19 huge points from Conner. He was being used in the passing game some as well with 33 receiving yards. It's a very strong start there. Garrett Wilson, maybe the one little bit of concern from Bill, as he only had 12 points, but that Jets offense did not look very good in week 1. But he did get 11 targets, so Rodgers, I'm sure, is going to keep throwing him the ball a lot. We'll see if he can hit him on some more. Godwin had a very strong week 1. I did not see this coming from Godwin. 8 catches on 8 targets, 83 yards and a touchdown, 22 huge points. So big there. Both Tampa Bay wide receivers popped off, Evans and Godwin. Trey McBride, 8 points. Not horrible, but not that great, but kind of just the story with tight ends in week 1. Xavier Worthy was a story, though, on Thursday night. The rookie, 20 huge points, got 2 touchdowns. The usage, he only had 3 targets and 1 carry, but he made really good use of that usage with 2 touchdowns and the huge game. I mean, if he doesn't get used that much, but he keeps producing with good yards and getting in the end zone, he'll still be a very valuable flex play. Jacoby Myers only 9 points. That's actually not that bad from how bad the Raiders looked. To get at least 9 out of that was not too bad. And then his kicker only got him 1 point. The Jets kicker, yikes. Obviously, they had to go for 2 once they scored touchdowns because they were so far behind. But not good to have a Jets kicker with the way that offense looked. On Slaps' side, a lot of disappointments. Joe Burrow obviously was one of them. Did not look right in week 1. We'll see if it's just the Bengals starting slow, which they do normally in the past few seasons, or if Burrow has a more serious problem that's going to affect him for the rest of the season. We'll see. Rachaad White was a bright spot. Both of Slaps' running backs did pretty solid. 16 and 18 points for Pollard and White. They both looked very good. A.J. Brown obviously did his thing to start Slaps off pretty strong with 22 points. Looked very good, got a touchdown and over 100 yards. So those were the bright spots. Zay Flowers also 11 points, not which you'd like to see a little more, but he did have 10 targets, so that's a good thing to note. Laporta only 8.5. Nakua obviously is a big blow for Slaps, getting hurt earlier in that game, and then it was just a Cooper Kupp show after that. Only had 8 points, so rough that he's now going on IR. So we'll see how long he's out for. Obviously, a big blow to Slaps' flex and wide receiver core. And then Odunze also getting banged up. We'll see if he misses any time. Only had 2 points. Slaps is going to need him to play here in the future for some wide receiver help, or he's going to be hurting for flex players. With on the bench, he has Elliott, who had a decent game, so maybe he can put him in a flex if need be. But other than that, the rest of his team really didn't do much on the bench to give him options if Odunze and Nakua. We already know Nakua is going to be out for a while, but if Odunze is out for a while, he's going to be hurting in the flex positions. So a little bit of a rough start for Slaps. Obviously, we all know Slaps' history of panicking when he loses games. Obviously, when you lose games and also lose players to injury, that just gets Slaps to panic maybe even more. We will see what he does. He hasn't made any trades yet this week. I know he's been trying and hitting people up, so we'll see what he does. We'll see if he fire sales. We'll see how long it takes him till he fire sales. Or we'll see if maybe he trade rapes somebody and actually gets a good deal. We'll see what happens with all of Slaps' team. But obviously he's the guy to watch out for now with the bad start. And we know he likes to pull trigger on trades. Cheese, your comments on this matchup.
Bills team's looking real good.
Okay.
Real good.
All right. Real good.
Worthy ain't scoring 20 every week, but he's looking real good.
Okay. All right.
Slaps should be in full-blown panic.
Wow, after week 1, full-blown panic, huh?
Well, because Puka and Adunze are going to be out for a while. Puka much longer, obviously. His bench is, Fat Zeke was all right, I guess, but his bench is, besides that, is looking really bad. And I don't know if you're going to put, the second he puts Gabe Davis in, he's going to drop a goose egg. So,
okay.
I think Slaps has some big name you can move to get that help he needs. And we'll see if he does it. But if he makes no moves, he might be in too big a hole to come out of it.
All right. I would just, one thing I'd say to Slaps is he needs to see what happens with the injury with the Odunze. He needs to have a clear picture of his players' availabilities before he goes and makes any big name trades.
If they're like Odunze's out for 1 week.
It is only week 1. Let's keep that in mind.
If they're like
before you start trading away your top draft
but
picks.
he's back next week.
We're back to when I got ridiculed for not drafting Odunze and drafting the
that
Packers
is a very good point,
instead.
Zach. Very good point. You look to have easily won that decision so far of taking Reed over Odunze. Very good draft move there.
What fast
all the haters.
Yep. I will admit I was wrong on that one.
most.
I'm holding my hand up. You were right on that move. So far through week 1 and probably for the next 5 weeks at least. We'll see how Jaden Reed does with Malik Willis as his quarterback, but it definitely looks good to take
He
Reed
could
right
have
now.
Stevie Wonder as his quarterback. He still pops off.
Okay, we'll see next week. All right. Rat, any comments on this matchup?
Honestly, Slaps and Tyler's boat. I think those two are off to the worst starts. I think they should be panicking the most because I think one of them had the worst team. I don't think Rashad White or Pollard continue their thing. I mean, AJ Brown's on.
Overreaction Monday.
Okay.
I will overreact.
Really, you don't
AJ
think
Brown,
Pollard can keep looking good?
No. I mean, they literally already said they want Spears more involved too. So he's just
Yeah,
going
well,
to
they
need
said
to
that before the season started, and he
True.
didn't get the ball. So
AJ Brown's
why would you
only
take
good
the ball
one.
out of Pollard's hand when you give him the ball and he produces? And you
Puka
paying him
being
a lot of money.
gone, Slaps is going to panic and just make a shit trade.
Okay.
Zay Flowers, I don't know. I don't like Zay Flowers this year.
Really? Okay. I do like Zay Flowers. And Slaps, I will trade for him.
We'll see if he panics, but I think Slaps and Tyler. But honestly, Tyler more.
All right. So am I hearing this right? You're predicting Tyler to finish last at the moment?
Yes, at the moment.
Okay. All right. Wow. Strong prediction there. I like it. All right. Zombie, comments on the Bill versus Slaps matchup?
You hate to see this happen to Slaps. Always getting hyped for fantasy football just to get fucking fucked over every season at the start. The thing though that he could still he could trade like Laporta to get some wide receivers while
Yeah,
he
well,
waits
I
for
did
his
think
boy.
we had a trade with Laporta to Ernie, but then he canceled, and probably a good thing he did because I
Who
don't think the
canceled?
trade was very
That
good.
Slabs canceled or
Yeah,
Ernie
Slabs canceled.
Oh my fucking god.
Ernie was
Shocking.
not canceling. That was a good deal for Ernie.
That's when I was on the soccer field getting a million notifications and I saw the canceled.
And I don't know if you've seen while you were on the soccer field tonight, but Pook accepted your trade. The only problem was it was a pre-draft trade that you sent of draft picks.
Oh,
He decided to accept it tonight, but that's not going through because I don't know exactly what happened. I'm assuming it's going to take your second round pick.
Can I cancel that?
It's already been canceled because it needs to be players. There has to be players involved in the trade at this point. But it said your second round, it was his second round pick for your third round pick and 20 fab. I guess you must have sent him that offer at some point during the draft season.
Yeah.
So you would have got Derrick Henry for
So you would have got, I'm assuming if I approved it and put it through, it would have sent you the players that were picked in those positions. So you would have got Derrick Henry and he would have got Travis Kelce and 20 fab. Which, honestly, the way Kelce looked week one, maybe you wouldn't have been too upset with that. But, I mean, Henry didn't look that good either. And you got Lamar, the true running back one of that team. So. Yeah. But anyways, all right. Moving on to the last matchup of week one, we saw Zombie take down Pusa 130-105. For a little bit, thought like this could have been the closest matchup of the week, but then Zombie got a big game from Cooper Kupp and kind of got the separation to make it not really close. So Pusa starting 0-1. I'm starting 0-1. Who else had bets with him? Zach, did you have a bet with him?
Me,
Ernie?
I did.
Rat. So some people are 1-0, and really the only person he's 0-1 with, I believe, in the bets are me. So maybe Slaps. I don't know if he had a bet. He's got a bet with like half the league. So either way, him losing and starting 0-1 is not good for his bets. But we'll see. Zombie had a strong game. Strong performance with 130 points. Dak Prescott kind of did not do that great, but it was a blowout game early on, so he didn't really have to do much. Only got 11. Breece Hall looked pretty solid, got 18, did fumble once, but the usage was there with 16 carries and with six targets, so that was good. Aaron Jones as well looked very good, 14 carries, 94 yards, a touchdown. With Sam Darnold there, they're going to want to run the ball to try to help Sam Darnold out, and if he can run it like this, he'll be a strong RB2 for you on your team with 18 big points. Drake London was the disappointment on Zombie's team, 3.5 points, only 3 targets. That Falcons offense looked horrible.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
The value, the draft position London was going in this year, you're expecting way more than this. So we'll see if he can bounce back in the future weeks. Cooper Kupp was obviously
71
the big
targets.
story. Big story for Zombies team. He looked like the old Cooper Kupp, putting that last year behind him with a huge target share. I mean, look at this, 21 targets for Cooper Kupp in week 1. And with Puka Nacua out, that should continue as well. Huge get. What did you get him in the 3rd round, right? So a huge.
Yeah, I
believe you
think
got him in the 3rd round. How do I see that on the bottom? Yeah, you got him in the beginning of the 3rd round. So huge get if he turns back into the Cooper Kupp of old, which it looks like he's going to. Njoku, obviously another down spot, only got 8 points, but also is now injured. So we'll see what Zombie does at tight end now. Neighbors had a okay solid game, got 7 targets, only 11 points though. Question is going to be how often can the Giants move the ball with Daniel Jones, and can they get any touchdowns and get Neighbors any touchdowns? Targets will probably be there though, because he's the only one to throw to. The other rookie wide receiver, we wondered how the rookie wide receivers in the flex for Zombie would do. They both had solid game, double-digit games, 14 points for Thomas as well. Got a touchdown in his debut, so pretty solid performance there for Jacksonville. Overall, pretty solid overall performance besides London. Everyone else performed pretty well, and that gets you 130 points and gets you a win on week 1. Zombie, your comments over Pusa's beating Pusa in week 1.
GG's to my boy Pusa. Hate that I had to do it to you, but it was a nice, good dub to start off the year. Because
Okay.
we're going back. We're on our road to redemption to get my ring back.
Okay. All right. And then real quick for Pusa's team, Stevenson had a nice game of 21. Chase, we kind of expected Chase not to have a huge game week 1 with everything that's going on with him. But 12 points, the way that Bengals offense looked, I guess you'll take that. Najee Harris, though, didn't do much. He did get 20 carries for 70 yards, but it only equated to 9 points because he didn't get in the end zone. Marvin Harrison was obviously a huge disappointment. As Cheese already said, Kyler, I guess, doesn't want to throw to him when he's wide open, and only threw to him 3 times.
He's too short to see him.
Only threw to him 3 times, so that's got to be a good concern. I mean, Harrison was being drafted very high this year. Very, very high for a rookie.
The concern is they clocked him at 16 miles per hour. He's looking like Fat Debo out there, like Fat Keenan Allen or something.
Okay, well, Harrison's talented.
Well, maybe
I'm not worried about Harrison being talented. I'm worried more about are they going to use him in the offense, and is Kyler Murray going to connect?
No one's throwing to him.
Is Kyler Murray going to connect with him and look for him more? That's more of what I'm concerned about. Freiermuth, only 6. I mean, I feel like every tight end I mentioned is not doing too much.
Every single tight end was ass outside of Likely.
There was only a few that got into the double digits besides Likely, which we forgot to mention. Cheese did drop Likely before the season started.
We'll see if
but
that
we'll
continues.
get into waivers here in a few minutes. Waddle was the bright spot, I guess, for Pusa, getting 16 in the trade with Rat, but I mean, it's a bright spot, but it's not really that great when you look at the production he gave Rat with the running backs, both scoring the same as Waddle. So, that trade is yet to be determined on who wins that, but at the moment I'd give it to Rat. He does have a bright spot with Charbonnet possibly this upcoming week if Walker's out, but the rest of his bench didn't do much either. So overall, if Pusa was here, I'd like to wonder his thoughts on the week 1. I'm sure he's not panicking yet. But we'll see, what happens in the future weeks. He's got some players that are going to have to turn around their seasons after rough starts. So we'll see what happens. All right, so we take a real quick look at the standings after week 1.
Wait, can I say something?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Zombie, you lucky bitch, because Breece Hall could finish as a top 3 running back, and then you got Cooper Kupp, and honestly, a healthy Cooper Kupp and a one-man Cooper Kupp is a very scary wide receiver.
I also like to say,
I'm very scared of that. I love Cooper Kupp.
I predict that Zombie will have to trade one of them at some point.
Whoa.
Because Drake London is the new Kyle Pitts.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And I like Malik Neighbors, but I saw the stat the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this. Daniel Jones has thrown for 2 touchdowns, I think, right, since last year.
Awesome.
Something ridiculously low. So Malik Neighbors has a very limited upside. If Danny Dimes is going to average
Oh, if
6
you have a
touchdowns on the
top
year.
3 running back and a top 3 wide
I'm just
receiver,
saying, like, those are offset right now by two of his
they could
players like
carry your
being
team.
not great.
I'm very scared
They
of Cooper
could.
Cup.
They could carry his team, but like I don't think those plus I don't think London getting like maybe 10 points or less every week is sustainable.
Oh,
Like I
yeah,
don't know.
sure.
And
21
I do
targets.
think Pusa's team it will have better days because Marvin Harrison's not scoring 1 point every week, and Ayuk dropped us for a touchdown, so he'll have better
Yeah.
days.
Okay.
Najee though, I hated him. I still hate him. 20 carries for
Oh,
70 yards is
everybody
terrible.
hates him.
That yard per carry is not great. He just runs into mud. But Ramondre looked good. He looked good.
Okay. All right. So as I said, we look at the standings here after week 1. Obviously, 6 teams are 1-0. 6 teams are 0-1. We have Zach leading the standings, scoring the most points in week 1 at 154. We have Ernie in second, 150. Rat third. Bill fourth. Chiefs fifth. Zombie sixth, and then Matt as the 0-1 team was the highest score. with
Can you
106.
repeat those standings, please?
Yes, Zach, you are in first place at the moment with the most points for in week 1. Congratulations,
Zach
buddy.
wants he wants that repeated
Would
because he
you-
knows it's never gonna be like that again.
Zach, I think next year you should propose that we give a ring to the person that's winning in first place after the first week of the season, because that would have been you this year. So you could have got a ring.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah. So, all right. So now, real quickly, before we get into week 2, let's take a look at the waivers. Obviously, these early season weeks, the waivers will be crazy. They will be hectic as everybody either overreacts to what players do or, you find those studs like a Puka Nacua of last year, like other running backs in the past that have been studs for the rest of the year. The question is, was there a stud in week 1 that somebody got? Well, Zombie sure thinks so because he spent $50 on Isaiah Likely, obviously needing a tight end with Njoku out. If you see the bids here, obviously was heavily active, did need to spend a lot, did overpay slightly as Ernie was next up with $34. Then Pusa 22, Zach 17, myself 16, Rat 13, and Bill 8. So a little bit of an overpay, but he gets a tight end that he desperately needs with Njoku out. So I can kind of say it's justified. But it is like half of your budget on one player, which is always a little questionable. So Zombie, are you happy with this? Or are you a little disappointed that you overpaid a little bit? Or obviously you think he's going to continue to outdo Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a part of the offense.
Okay.
I mean, I just did it because I needed a tight end, but I knew someone like Ernie was gonna, even though he doesn't need him, was just gonna put in a random high bid for him just because he likes him.
Okay, so you bid this because you would guarantee you get him because you knew somebody was gonna put in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was not paying more than
50.
I was not paying more than 50 for
Okay.
a fucking tight end.
All right. Well, we'll see if he continues to ball out like he did in week 1. Could be a good ad. Zach gets his $27 man, Justice Hill, who looked very involved on third downs, got a lot of catches, had a pretty strong week 1. He won it. He did overpay slightly as Ernie was the next up with $14 bid, then myself with 12, Bill with 5, Pusa with 3, but $27 for a running back that in a PPR setting seems to be involved in PPR with catching out of the backfield. It was only week 1, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't care about paying that much. I got him. I wanted him.
Okay.
I got him.
You wanted him and you
Ernie
got him.
didn't get
Fair
him, so
enough.
that's the most important thing.
Oh, okay.
I did have an opening bid of $17, but I upped it just to make sure I got him.
Oh.
I mean, you still would have got it.
Should have left. Yeah, you should have left the 17. You would have beat Ernie by 3, but
Can we
okay.
talk about Bills, the only bid on that?
Yes. And on to the next one. Now, this is where we start getting a little hairy. Bill bids $25 on Alexander Madison for the Raiders offense, and he was the only bid. So a 25 straight overpay for Alexander Madison. I'm sure if Bill was here, he would try to say, you guys are all dumb because Madison's going to be the next big thing in that Raiders offense. Zamir White ain't shit. I'm sure he'd say something like that, but at the end of the day, it's an overpay of $25 and a quarter of your fab budget on a guy that nobody else wanted. But we'll see if he takes over the starting job and looks better. Also, the supposed wide receiver one for the Bengals that he was hyping up this past week is already back on waivers. If anybody would like him.
Nah, I'm good.
Slaps picks up Alan Lazard after his 2-touchdown game for the Jets. The one bright spot, I guess, besides Garrett Wilson was at Lazard. Let's see here. He did overpay slightly as Bill bid 5 and Rat put in a $0 bid. Slaps gets him for 17. I don't mind this because Slaps does need wide receiver help with Nakua out injured, and I don't know if Lazard's going to keep performing. But you kind of have to just go off of what you saw, and you saw in week 1 him do really good. So you kind of just got to pick up anybody for wide receivers that performed in week 1 and hope they continue to do good. I mean, there's a possibility that when he puts him in there this week, that he only puts up like 6 points. That's a possibility. But he also could continue to look pretty good with that connection with Rodgers that he has for a long time. Another overpay as Zach picks up a Giants wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, for $17, and nobody else put a bid on. So a $17 overpay.
Giants are going to be losing every single game in the season, and they're going to be throwing, and someone has got to catch the ball.
Have you seen Danny Dimes throw the ball? He throws it more to the other team than he does
but when you throw it to a guy
his own
12
team.
times, he's going to catch at least 4, 5, 6.
Okay, but you realize that Danny Dimes can't throw the ball over like 6 yards.
Okay.
So,
PPR.
All right. So Zach,
Okay,
what was
so-
your thinking with the $17? Because it seemed like
I wanted
you
him.
really
You
okay.
could've
So
put
you really
$1
thought
on it.
people were gonna go in on the Giants wide receiver because of the targets. So you
Yep, and they're always going to be losing.
okay?
Was the last yellow?
All right. Well, we'll see if that works for you on that. So let's see, Zach. You've already put what about a third of your waiver
look at
budget
his
in
weight.
week
He has
1?
$56 remaining.
Wow. So
I
no
I'll
$100
trade
man
for
this
Fab.
year or close.
will
Oh,
trade
you'll
trade for Fab if anybody wants to trade. So.
Who
Okay.
overpay?
All right, then we move to a kicker accusation for $9. Obviously, Jake Moody, huge game on the kicker standpoint. I did want him, but I wasn't spending more than $1 to try to get a
Four other
kicker.
kickers.
Hold on,
Especially-
there's no way you're giving me grief for paying $17 when Bill spends $25 on somebody else that
well, if you were
nobody even
listening,
bid on.
we gave Bill plenty of shit, but you must have not have been listening.
I want to give Pook shit too.
I gave Bill shit more than I gave you for paying 25 for a guy that nobody bid on when you only did 17. So apparently you weren't listening. Anyways, back to the kicker. I guess he really likes Moody. I don't know if Moody's going to continue to just put up all those kicks every week. I'm sure the 49ers will score some more touchdowns in the future. But, he wanted the kicker, so he got him. What did you say, Rat?
There was like 5 other kickers that put up 20 plus, so I don't know where.
Yeah, not as many touchdowns scored this week. A lot
Yeah.
more people settling for field goals.
Did
See
anybody
if that
pick up
continues.
Boswell?
No.
Well,
Oh, you're a
does somebody already have Boswell or
Oh,
no?
did someone already have
No.
Boswell?
No, he's on waiver still.
Oh, yes. Wow.
He's a free agent. Anybody can pick him up right now.
Wow. So, yeah, that just makes the $9 for Moody look a little worse than if other kickers. If Boswell, who had a huge game also, doesn't even get
I
picked
mean,
up, then why are we
I
spending
guess
9?
I guess he's buying that the Brock Purdy can give him the field goal range more than
Score touchdowns.
whatever is going on in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I guess.
Like
Okay.
I would bid like for $3, like $9.
Yeah, I mean that's why I bid 1 because I was gonna change.
I
it
like his
a-
next bid though.
Okay, Colby Parkinson, yep. Drops Jermaine Burton. That is a good tight end pickup.
Tyler
I'm a
Higbee.
little surprised Zombie didn't go for this one, but I guess he has Cup, so he probably doesn't want both of those Rams. But with Nakua out now and no Higbee,
Tyler
you would
Higbee.
think he could be the tight end one for them and see upgrade in targets because they got to
Well,
throw the
Zombie
ball to
went
somebody.
for Zombie already got his tight end. So
I know
he's
that's
spending
what
on
I'm
both.
saying, but I'm surprised.
Stafford loves his tight ends.
I'm surprised he didn't, maybe go less on likely with the saying I could also get Parkinson if I don't.
I will
get-
say the healing core like 8 points. So I feel like tight ends just all suck right now.
Yeah, but I'm talking moving forward.
Yeah.
There's no
okay.
Nakua. Their target's got to go to somebody. I mean, they can go to Cup for 20, but they're still gonna go to somebody else too.
Maybe
And then we
not.
have Bill picking up Baker Mayfield. There was some activity, but no one spent any money on it. So Bill, $6 gets him. Had a
bad.
very strong week 1 for possible backup case you need them. Who is Bills quarterback currently? Josh Allen.
Law? Oh, Allen.
So I guess he's getting Baker just to buy or something.
I mean, he made like injury insurance or something.
I guess, yeah. Okay.
I guess because like he didn't have a backup QB and like all the QBs left are like actually trash.
Yes.
So.
All right. Then I picked up Jeff Wilson for $3. I needed to make sure in case Mostert is out, which he is now out, and in case Achane is out, that I have some type of viable starting running back. So we'll see what happens with Achane. If he is out, I will be starting Jeff Wilson. If he's not, then I'll be probably not. We'll see. For $3 to have the chance of possibly being an RB1 for this upcoming week when I might need a running back because of Walker, well, I'll take the chance. And then we had Rat picking up Greg Dortch for $0, dropping Wicks. Rat, anything you want to say on that?
Jordan Love.
Okay.
No point of having Wicks.
I gotcha. Alrighty, so that was waivers. Let's move into the week 2 preview.
Can we look at the most recent acquisition that was made 4 minutes ago?
Zombie picking up Quentin Johnson. Okay, I'm not even going to waste any time with that. All right, moving on to the previews. We will start with Cheese versus Matt. Battle of 1-0 versus 0-1. Right now, Sleeper projects Cheese to barely get the victory, 118 to 117. Cheese, he said he was starting Jayden Daniels, and he is against his Giants. He knows how bad his Giants are and how Jayden Daniels looked last week, and he's got him in there this week. Gibbs on Detroit versus Tampa Bay. Achane, assuming he plays on Thursday night tomorrow against Buffalo. We will see. Mike Evans against Detroit. That game has potential to be a good offensive game.
It'll be a real fun game.
We'll see how Evans looks in week 2 after his big week 1. Rashee Rice against Cincinnati. Big game there. Cincinnati and the Chiefs. We'll see if the Bengals look any better or if the Chiefs just destroy them. Kittle against Minnesota. We'll see if tight ends can bounce back this week. Montgomery, so the second running back, it was funny. We were watching the Detroit game on Sunday night. Cheese was starting to panic on Montgomery, saying, well, I guess I can't start both lines running backs, so what's going on with Monty? I might have to bench him. And then he scores a touchdown for the winner in overtime, and now Cheese is all happy about his 2 lines running backs. So that's how quickly it changes, what 1 touchdown can do for you. DK Metcalf, after getting blanketed last week, plays New England this week. New England looked pretty good on defense in week 1 against Chase and the Bengals. We'll see if Metcalf can bounce back. And Elliott on Monday night against Atlanta. On Matt's side, Richardson against the Packers. Decent matchup there as the Packers gave up a lot of points last week to the Eagles. So we'll see if Richardson can take advantage. Bijan Robinson on Monday night against the Phillies. So he has Monday night player as well. Etienne against Cleveland. Diggs on Sunday night against Chicago. That Chicago-Houston game will be a big one for Matt. Keon Coleman, who got a touchdown, plays tomorrow night, so both teams have a Thursday night player. Looked pretty good in his week 1, so we'll see if that continues. Matt's putting him in there now in his lineup. Andrews looking for a bounce back against the Raiders. Swift on Sunday night against Houston. DJ Moore on Sunday night against Houston. So a lot of Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night players for Matt. And McPherson against Kansas City in that Sunday afternoon game. Let's see. I do like Matt making a couple changes with putting in Coleman. I think he can have a decent game tomorrow night. Josh Allen historically is very good against the Dolphins passing, and I'm sure he'll hit his wide receiver up on some of those. The real question is, do I believe the Bears offense will rebound? Because I think that's what it's going to take for Matt to pull off this victory. He's going to need good performances from DJ Moore and Swift. Do I believe that's going to happen? I don't think so. Not yet, especially against Houston, who's a pretty solid team. So I'm going to take Cheese. I think it's going to be closer than maybe what it looks like. But I do like Cheese this week, especially if Achane does play. I'm going to take Cheese maybe by about 10, 15-point win for Cheese. Rat, who's winning this matchup?
Sadly, I have to give the flowers to Cheese this week.
Okay.
I think he's gonna win like by 20.
Wow.
I like his matchups. I don't that Chicago. I think they're gonna be struggling that night, and then Mark Andrews. I think it's gonna be another couple weeks until we see him fully get back. I do like Matt's running backs, but yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't see.
I like Matt's running
Cheese's
backs
team
too,
this
but
week.
I feel like Cheese kind of negates Matt's running backs because he has some strong running backs as well. I think the difference will be the wide receivers and the Bears not.
What? I like his matchup, so Cheese.
Okay. Zombie left, right? He's not here.
Yeah.
Zach, who's winning between Cheese and Matt?
To be fair, I don't think.
Matt by his landslide. It'll be the easiest game he plays all season.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Wow, no respect for the 1-0 champion of last year, whose team looks
It'll be
solid.
the only game he wins all year.
Well, he'll have. Oh, okay. All right.
I still gotta play you, Zach.
Cheese, are you getting the dub against Matt to go to 2-0?
Yes, we are. Yes, we
Okay.
are. We're moving to 2-0. I don't play Zach till like week 8 or something. That's annoying. Week 9, week
Mhm.
10. I don't play until week 11. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're starting Jane Daniels. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyler has more points, but Kyler's not going to start till he proves that he is fully back.
Mhm.
But I think they're both solid. Happy to have two solid options. I think Achane is going to play. I saw the videos today. He was at practice. No contact. He was looking good. And I'm very excited that they threw him 7 passes. So that's very exciting. And DK is not going to get blanketed again. I really hope it doesn't come down to Monday with my kicker versus you have on Monday?
Okay.
Yeah, somebody on
Yeah,
Oh,
he has
Bijan.
Bijan.
So yeah, I hope it doesn't, but like I think I have some good matchups. A little worried. I think doesn't Tampa usually have a good run defense?
In the past
So
years, they've been okay, but
that could be Gibbs might just farm out the points in a lower Monty game because they just pass to Gibbs. We'll see, but the Giants are ass. I'm hoping Jane Daniels can get me a lot of.
okay.
And he's not like that bad at passer. You can figure that out too. He'll be really good.
Okay. All right. So sounds like we're more on the Jaden Daniels hype train than the Kyler Murray one at this
At the
point.
moment, I mean, I'm going to ride the hype
Okay.
train.
Okay. All right. Sure hope he doesn't bust for you this
I
week.
mean, once he busts, I just put Kyler in and get my 15 points or whatever.
Okay. All right.
So,
Okay. Fair enough. All right, moving on. We're going to skip that one. We're going to go to this next one. Moving on to Pook versus Tyler. Battle of 0-1, so big matchup here. One of them will get the dub to go to 1-1. The other one's 0-2 and probably starting to panic just a little bit. Right now, Sleeper projecting Tyler to get the victory 117 to 114. Tyler has Tua tomorrow night, so he's going with Tua tomorrow night against Buffalo. He decided last week to go with Lawrence, didn't really work, so he's going back to Tua tomorrow night. Mixon, who looked really good on Sunday night against the Bears. Should be another game. We'll see if he gets used as much as he did in that first week. Puts in Singletary against Washington in his second running back spot. Interesting call there against Washington, who did not look good on defense, so I kind of like that move. Amon-Ra St. Brown against Tampa Bay. I'm expecting a bounce-back performance from Amon-Ra after it was the Jameson Williams show in Week 1. I expect a much better game for St. Brown. Olave against the Cowboys. Kind of a tough matchup for Olave. I expect him to get some more targets. Maybe he can get around 13 this week, hopefully for Tyler's sake. Ingram against Cleveland on Sunday. Another bounce back possibly for him. We'll see what tight ends bounce back and which tight ends bust again in the second week. Pittman against Green Bay should be decent. Expect a better performance from Pittman. Kirk against Cleveland as well, and Bass tomorrow night. So he's got a couple Thursday night players against Miami. On Pook's side, Caleb Williams on Sunday night. We've already mentioned, will the Bears offense look better against Houston? I don't know. So risky call there to see how many points Williams will get. We'll see. Henry against the Raiders should be a good matchup for Henry, as the Chargers ran all over the Raiders. I expect Baltimore to do the same. Josh Jacobs against the Colts, as I already mentioned, with Love out. Maybe they run the ball a little bit more and get Jacobs even more involved. That could be good. Jefferson against the 49ers, tougher matchup, but it's Jefferson. Expect him to get around 16 to 17. Cooper against Jacksonville, looking for a bounce back. We'll see with Watson how it goes. Not expecting much with Watson playing. He looks horrible. Newly acquired Parkinson in there against the Cardinals. Decent matchup. I expect him to have a decent game. Keenan Allen against Houston on Sunday night. Scary Terry in there against the Giants. If you can't have a good game against the Giants, then I think it's full-blown panic on Scary Terry, especially with Cheese hyping up Daniels and how he can throw. He's got to hit Scary Terry against the Giants. Moody, the newly acquired expensive $9 kicker against the Vikings. We'll see if he can put up another game like he did in week 1.
Who the fuck paid $9 for a kicker?
That would be Pook. The guy that,
Oh,
well,
God,
he was
this
like
gotta
the,
be
what,
dumb
top
Tyler.
kicker or second? Was he the top kicker or the second most behind Boswell?
What about Ernie's boy? Ernie's boy had a lot.
Yeah, but no, these guys had more.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to take Tyler in this matchup just because I think some of his guys are candidates to have bounce back weeks like St. Brown and Olave and Ingram and Pittman. I think they could all have much better games. And I'm not a believer in the Bears offense. It would be kind of crazy if Caleb Williams has a huge game against Tyler. That would be kind of funny, considering, I'm sure Tyler would love to see his Bears win and Caleb Williams look great. The only thing is it's going to hurt him this week in fantasy. I don't think it's going to happen, though, so I'm going to take Tyler to win this week. And then, send Pook to 0-2 possibly with the struggling Bears offense. We'll see what happens. Cheese, who's winning?
My good friend Pook.
Oh,
Going
really?
0-2.
Oh,
Going 0-2.
I thought you were taking him. Okay.
Absolutely
Good one,
not.
Cheese.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not a believer in Amari Cooper or Keenan. I think Tyler's team has some good bounce back. I think Ingram gets going. I think Pittman gets some more passes. St. Brown will have a good game. I think neither of them are scoring 70, but I'm not a believer in Caleb Williams or it'll be better, but it's not gonna be good. I think Caleb Williams might get 10 or 11 or something like
Thanks,
that.
buddy.
Maybe 15.
Zach, mute your mic when you're not talking because we hear your
But
car.
and then I think Jefferson gets locked up against San Francisco. So
Wow. Okay. What is
I think
locked
Sam
up?
Darnold
Under
is,
10 points? Is that what?
15 or less.
Okay. All right.
I think Sam Darnold's not going to have another. Not going to do that again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, if Olave is another goose egg, though, looking real bad for Olave.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Rat, who's winning?
Well, the battle of the shitters this week already. It was quick. I'm gonna say Pook wins. I think he'll have solid games from everybody. For Tyler, I think St. Brown and Pittman have good games, but I could see a repeat for Olave, Kirk, Ingram of just sucking ass and throwing Tyler into panic mode. Because I don't like half his team. But yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Zach, who's winning between Pook and Tyler? You beat the shit out of the one last week, and you say you're going to beat the shit out of the other next week.
Yep,
So
this
who's
is
winning in
Tyler's game to lose here.
Okay.
Bounce back week for my boy Tyler. I'd be surprised if Pook scores 60 points.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. Surprised if he scores 60 points. So way lower than last week. All right. Interesting prediction there. All right. Moving on to the next matchup of the week. We have Slaps versus Zombie. Battle 0-1 versus 1-0. I'm sure if Zombie pulls out a win against Slaps, that will send Slaps into even further panic. Right now, according to Sleeper, that's happening 123 to 112 for Slaps. Zombie has Dak Prescott against the Saints. Saints looked pretty good last week, but it was Carolina, so I expect the Cowboys still to be able to score on the Saints. Breece Hall in there against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense looked pretty decent against the Bears. We'll see, though, with Breece Hall's usage, he'll probably still get some points. Aaron Jones against the 49ers, another tough defensive matchup, but Jones did look good in week 1, so we'll see what happens with that. Drake London looking for a bounce-back game against Philly on Monday night. Philly gave up a lot of points to Green Bay and gave up a lot of big plays to wide receivers. We'll see if Kirk Cousins and Drake London can get on the same page and hit some of them. Cooper Kupp, we've already talked about Cooper Kupp a bunch. Against Arizona, I expect another huge game from him. Isaiah Likely, the newly acquired big money man against the Raiders, is a great matchup. I expect him to have a big game. If he's going to be the guy that was worth $50, he better have a good game against the
He
Raiders.
ain't worth no $50.
Well, he better have a good game against the Raiders to prove. I mean, he doesn't have to.
White tight end.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do what he did in week 1, but he's got to have double digits and like high double digits to equate against the Raiders. Malik Neighbors, the rookie, again in there against Washington, should get around that 12 points at least with his usage and how many times they're throwing him the ball. As Zach said, the Giants will be losing, so they got to throw to somebody. Well, Malik Neighbors is probably the number 1 target. Thomas in there against Cleveland. He looked good in week 1. Cleveland looked horrible, so I expect another decent game from him. And Dicker in there against Carolina. On Slaps aside, Joe Burrow against Kansas City at Arrowhead. Tough matchup, especially when you're maybe not 100% right and your wide receivers are a mess right now. We'll see what the Bengals look like. I don't expect them to look very good. Rashad White against Detroit. Detroit looked pretty decent. We'll see if Tampa can give him a game. Zeke Elliott in there as RB2 against the Saints. Had a decent, solid week 1. Got the usage, got the touchdown against the Saints. We'll see if that can be a good running back number 2 for Slaps in the future. A.J. Brown on Monday night against Atlanta, so they both have Monday night players, both opposite wide receivers, London and A.J. Brown. Obviously, I'm giving the edge to A.J. Brown. There. Zay Flowers against the Raiders. That's a great matchup. I expect even better game from Zay Flowers. High 17, 18, 19, maybe cracks into the 20s in points. I'm expecting that for Zay Flowers this week with the usage he's been getting. Laporta against Tampa Bay. I'm expecting a better game from him as well. Pollard against the Jets could be a decent game again for Pollard. Jets looked absolutely horrible stopping Jordan Mason, so I expect Pollard to also be able to run on them. Lazard, the newly acquired man off of waivers against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense looked okay. I don't know necessarily how. I don't expect Lazard to do much this week after the big week last week, but I could be wrong. And then Koo on Monday night as well. So they have Monday night players. I'm going to make a bold prediction this week. I am going to predict that Slaps pulls the big upset over Zombie this week. I think the sky is falling for Slaps. His injuries, his Nakua injury, everything looks like it's downhill. And then I think somehow by the grace of God, he gets some big performances from A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Laporta, Pollard. And I think some of Zombie's guys struggle. I don't like some of his matchups with Hall against Tennessee, Jones against the 49ers, London against Philly. I think Likely comes back down to earth a little. And maybe, his rookie wide receivers in the flex don't get touchdowns this week after getting last week. So I'm going to say Slaps in a tight victory, pulls off a stunner over Zombie, and then everything goes back to normal for Slaps and he's not panicking that much, just to then lose in the future and then start panicking again. That's my bold prediction of the week, Slaps over Zombie. Cheese, what are you predicting?
I think the worst possible outcome for Slaps is that he wins.
Ooh,
okay. He needs to tear it down. Okay.
Already? Move your mic closer, but already?
Look, I think he got very unlucky with the injuries, okay?
Yes.
I think he got very unlucky, and I don't see Fat Zeke and Pollard and Lazard, they're going to be okay, but, not going to be those. If he wins, 101 or, 100 or something, that's bad for him, because he'll not sell. So I think he needs to get, crushed, and then he trades away and he gets some different players going. Zombies team, I said this, he'll be fine, but if Neighbors doesn't get a touchdown against Washington, it's never going to come. And then Drake London, Philly's secondary shit. So if Drake London, this is the game for him to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But Slaps can't be getting on this false hope that his team, unless we want him to fail, which we might. I don't know.
Some people do.
But he'll get false. I think if he wins, he could win. It's not, it's not impossible, but it's not going to be because his team has 150 points.
All right,
It'll
fair
be
enough.
because
no, I think Slaps wins maybe a 115 to 110.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's not great for him because he'll think everything's going well.
Yeah, but I also don't think you should over panic after week 1.
I don't think
the injuries hurt, but you gotta see it play out a little. It's early in the season, so. to make a ton
Yeah,
of
it is,
moves
but-
right now could be detrimental.
I don't know
When you
about
don't
ton
even
of
know
moves.
your
Overreaction week 1,
Yeah.
and you're talking about the king of overreaction.
That is true. All right.
Zach, you should trade him Michael Thomas.
He does need wide receivers, but he wants them that play on a team. Which did you keep Michael Thomas? You haven't dropped him yet after week
Oh,
one.
he left the
And
party.
he
Lost connection.
Is he back? No. Rat.
He is back.
I have the complete opposite statement of you.
Okay.
My lock of the week, my guaranteed win,
Okay.
my early candidate for the biggest blowout of the year
Wow.
is a Zombie beating
Okay.
Slaps
All right.
easily.
Easy.
So
Wow.
yes,
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Slaps better might not even set his roster this week. It's over. Buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little
Look.
overreaction.
We'll see, but
And
Buddy,
just to be
Slaps-
fair, just to clarify, I like Zombie's team. I think it's solid, but I just
Yeah.
don't like some of his matchups this week.
I like the matchups this week. I think
Okay.
London's gonna show up.
Is it my turn to pick yet?
I think
Not
Cup's
yet.
just gonna drop another 30. Neighbors gets his touchdown this week, and likely has another good game.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right. Fair enough. All right, Zach. Who's winning between Slaps and Zombie?
Zombie.
Wow, I thought you were gonna go tie on this one. Okay.
Zombie
Zombie.
by a quarter of a mile.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
I will say this: if Slaps goes 0-2, he's not going to give up like Zach did.
Ooh.
He will make some
Shot
wheeling
fired.
and dealing.
Shot
What do you
fired. He said if Slaps loses this week and goes 0-2, he's not gonna give up like you did last year when you.
Wow, I didn't
That's
give
a
up.
shot fired.
Yeah,
Ah,
I never
yeah.
buddy,
tried.
you didn't even know how to look at your waiver claim to see who bid what.
Buddy.
How do you? That just means the whole last season you didn't look at waiver claims at all.
I forgot. It was a whole year ago.
Jesus. Oh my God.
It was a whole year ago.
All right, moving on to the next matchup. We got Bill versus Pusa. This is an interesting one. Bill 1-0, Pusa 0-1. Bill, I'm sure Bill would love to beat Pusa and send him to 0-2. I will be rooting for you, Bill, because that obviously helps my bet with Pusa. Assuming if I win, of course. But Bill right now predicted to lose, according to Sleeper, 120-117. The luck of the Irish Pusa has Hurts on Monday night against Atlanta. That should be a decent game. Hurts looked pretty decent in Week 1 fantasy-wise. He threw some bad picks, but other than that, he looked good. Stevenson against Seattle. We'll see. He had a great Week 1. We'll see if he continues that or kind of comes back down a little. Najee Harris against Denver. I don't know what to expect out of Harris or the Pittsburgh offense. Not sure. Jalen Waddle tomorrow night to get him started against Buffalo. So they'll both have Thursday night players. Waddle had a strong receiving game in Week 1. Expect a good game tomorrow night as well. Expect fireworks in
But
this
he
Buffalo
no Tyree.
Miami game. He ain't Tyreek, but he's still a very good wide receiver 2 option. Ayuk in the flex against Minnesota. Did not look very good in Week 1, as to be expected with all the drama around him. We'll see if he cranks it up some as the weeks go on. He did drop a touchdown, so he could have had a much better game if he just catches a ball that hits him in both hands. Pat Freiermuth against Denver. Once again, I don't know what to expect out of the Steelers. I said that last week. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. I still don't know what to expect out of them this week against my Broncos. Harrison in there. We'll see if he has a bounce back against the Rams. Gets more involved. Jamar Chase against Kansas City. Big game for Kansas City and the Bengals. Chase, we'll see if he shows up and pops off. If Burrow can get him the ball. On Bill's side, Josh Allen tomorrow night against the Dolphins. We've already talked about how well he plays against the Dolphins. I expect a good game. Pacheco against Cincinnati should be pretty decent. Connor against the Rams also should be pretty decent, as the running backs for Detroit and the running backs for Stevenson against Cincinnati had a good Week 1. And the Detroit boys against the Rams had good Week 1. So both those are pretty good running back matchups for Bill. Garrett Wilson against Tennessee. We'll see how the Jets offense looks. Tennessee defense looked okay. So we'll see if Rodgers can get the better of him. Godwin, who had a great Week 1 against Detroit. I don't know what to expect against Detroit, but could have another good week. Trey McBride against the Rams as well. Xavier Worthy against Cincinnati. So that Cincinnati Chiefs game will be a big one in this matchup. The newly acquired Madison for the Raiders in there against Baltimore. Very interesting move there. Who is he benching? Who did he play last week? He has Javonte Williams, he has Myers, he has Dobbs. So he's benching those three candidates to start Madison this week. So I guess he said, well, I overpaid for Madison, but with nobody else bid him, so let me throw him in there and have him have a huge week
Myers.
and prove everyone wrong that I knew what I was doing getting Madison, and we should have all put in bids for him. We'll see. That's a very interesting call there. Zuerlein, he's sticking with Zuerlein against Tennessee after his 1-point game last week. Man, when I started reading out the top half of the lineups, I liked Bills a lot more. But then as I got to the bottom half of the lineups, I started to maybe like Pusa's a little bit more. But I'm still going to say Bill gets a close victory around like 117 to 112, something like that. Close, lower scoring-ish, but I think Bill gets the win and sends Pusa to 0-2. I want that to happen, but I also think that might happen this week. I just think some of Bill's top guys are just going to have too good of games compared to Pusa's top guys. Maybe not. Cheese, who's winning?
Bill is going 2-0.
Okay.
I think it'll be high scoring, high powered matchup. But Bill is going to pull it out, I think.
All right.
I think the Jets offense will look a lot better against whatever Tennessee is doing over there.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson will pop off.
All right. Pop off.
And we'll get some classic Josh Allen ball hogging on Thursday night.
Yeah. Hopefully he passes a little more to my tight end. Okay. Rat, who's winning?
This is hard. I'm gonna say Pusa.
Okay.
I think his wide receivers. I mean, last week I said they would have a big game. I think they're going to do better than what I said.
Okay.
And I see a close game, and the reason I see Bill losing, I could see Madison being the reason dropping 0 to 2 points and costing. I don't understand the Madison start, but
yeah,
we'll
I
see
agree.
what happens.
I like some of his other options on the bench better, but
I could see Madison literally costing the whole win.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see.
All right. Fair point. All right, Zach, who's winning between Bill and Pusa?
Wow, Bill and Pusa. Wow.
Yep.
I do believe in this league you must be a certain height to win a game.
Okay. All right.
Therefore, I will be picking Bill by about 14 inches. That's the height difference between Pusa and one of those wrestling midgets you see on TV.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Moving on to the second to last matchup, myself versus Rat. Big matchup here for me as I am 0-1. Rat's 1-0, so I need to get into the win column. Hopefully we can even out the standings a little bit and get a couple 1-1 teams after this week. All right, now Sleeper has me projected to win 121 to 116. I have Purdy against Minnesota. I think that matchup could be pretty decent. Minnesota looked good in week 1, but it was the Giants they were facing. James Cook tomorrow night to get me started against Miami. James Cook hopefully can get into the end zone. He had a pretty good week 1. He just didn't get a touchdown. Hopefully that changes in this week, and Allen saves a rushing touchdown for Cook. Or maybe he throws him one. Kenneth Walker at the moment not practicing. We'll see. Might have to make the switch against New England. Hopefully he plays. Have backup plans for if he doesn't. We already know Mostert, who I have on my team, is out, so that's 2 running backs potentially down. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with Achane. If Achane is out, then I will be starting Jeff Wilson and moving Walker down into the flex. That way I could switch him out with a wide receiver on Sunday if he's out. If Achane is playing, then I will probably leave Walker in there, take the chance, and then just go with Chase Brown if I have to on Sunday for Walker. That's the plan at the moment. CeeDee Lamb against New Orleans had an okay game, but it was a blowout, so they didn't really need him much for the second half. Hopefully, this game's a little bit closer, and they put up a bunch of points to CeeDee. Devontae Adams against Baltimore. Big game against Baltimore. Raiders offense did not look great. Adams only had 10. Hopefully, he can get a touchdown, get more involved. They're going to need him to get very involved if they're going to have any chance of beating Baltimore. Kincaid tomorrow night as well against Miami. I don't like having this many Thursday night players, but don't have a choice. Hopefully, Allen will stop being such a greedy bitch and start throwing the ball to his tight end that he threw a bunch to last year. We'll see. The one bright spot after week 1 on my team, Fat D, is here. Fat D, Deebo Samuel against Minnesota. Like the matchup, like the usage. Hopefully, he has another big game. And then at the moment, as I said, Jackson Smith-Njigba, we're going with him against New England. Didn't have a whole lot in week 1, but I'm expecting a better role for him this upcoming week. If, as I said, if we got to make any changes with the running back injuries, then we will make them. On Rat's side, C.J. Stroud on Sunday night against the Bears. Bears defense looked okay. We'll see, though, with facing that Houston offense, what happens with that. Brian Robinson in there against the Giants. Great matchup there. Brian Robinson should have a good game. Jordan Mason in there against Minnesota. Also pretty good matchup. I expect Jordan Mason to have a good game. I don't know about 30 carries and as big of a game as he had last week, but we'll see. He could probably still get 15 plus. Nico against Chicago as well. So a lot of Sunday night guys. Devontae Smith on the Monday night game as well. So Rat has a lot of Sunday and Monday night players, so it will probably come down to at least Sunday night on if Rat gets the dub. Bowers against Baltimore. We'll see. Pickens against Denver. We'll see if he gets as many targets as he did last week or how they look against Denver. Jerome Ford against Jacksonville as well. Same type of thing. Had a strong week 1. We'll see if he continues that. And Bucker against Cincinnati. Obviously, we'll see. McCaffrey technically hasn't been ruled out yet. We'll see if he gets in there. I'm actually kind of rooting for McCaffrey to come back and, maybe do 50-50 split with Jordan Mason for week 2. That sounds pretty good to me. 49ers, you need to win these games. If your boy McCaffrey is good to go, you get him out there. Let him, he doesn't have to play as much as he normally does, but he can play a little bit.
Tear that Achilles, buddy.
Get that tendonitis solved and then have it flare up during the game.
Thank you, Fake Rat.
All right. So at the moment, obviously, I'm going to take myself. We both have some injuries that we have to monitor and deal with. T. Higgins as well on Rat's bench. We'll see if he plays and maybe he puts him in there. We'll see what happens. And obviously, I'm assuming if he does play T. Higgins, it would be for Ford, but I don't even know. That's kind of a toss-up because they're playing Kansas City. So we'll see what Rat does. We both have injuries to deal with. Obviously, I'm going to take myself. I'm hoping for some bigger performances from Cook and Lamb and Adams and Kincaid, who all had bad weeks in week 1. Hoping for bounce backs for them. And then I'm hoping Deebo can continue to be good and hopefully Kenneth Walker plays. If he doesn't play, then it's going to be a lot tougher, but I'm still going to take myself in a close game against Rat. Last year I got the sweep against Rat, and I don't want to lose to him this year, so hopefully that will continue. Cheese, who are you picking to win?
I wanted to pick you, Golfer, but Rat has the better matchups.
Okay.
And, Bleak is not great for Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Play this week. Unfortunate. But I do think on the Rat side, Pickens will get locked up in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Jordan Mason will do 28. He'll be fine, but it's not going to that's not happen again. And I'm not as high on Ford as he is, but it is his flex too. But yeah, I just think he's a better matchups, and with
Okay.
Walker out, I'm not, I don't know how Jeff Wilson will do. It could be good, but it could also be 2 points or something.
Well, Walker's not out yet, and Jeff Wilson I'm not
But
putting in
Oblique
unless
is
Achane is out. So.
And Oblique is
But I'm not playing
great.
Jeff Wilson for Walker.
So who would go in?
I told
Who
you
would go in?
Chase Brown. If
I mean that's decent.
if
but
Jeff,
still.
the only way I'm playing Jeff Wilson tomorrow is if Achane is out. So.
But is I think Red has the higher upside here and the better matchup. But I mean,
I understand.
I won't be shocked if Fat D and CeeDee Lamb pop off, goes the other direction.
Okay, so you're saying closer. Okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a blowout. It'll be very
Zach.
close.
Gopher!
Okay. All right.
Wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
Gopher, you win. GG. But I will say this. Last week, I predicted CMC's first carry of last week
Yep.
to be a negative yard play, fumble loss, and an Achilles tear.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, looking after the news this week,
Uh-huh.
it's come out that he actually has Achilles tendonitis.
Uh-huh.
I will be predicting the same thing, and this time it actually might fucking happen
Okay. All right.
because he's actually injured his Achilles.
I would, I'd love to see Christian McCaffrey play this week, and then Rat either puts them both in or puts one of them in. I don't know what he would do, and then I'd love to see that. So.
Wow, you would love to see an Achilles injury for your
Yes.
opponent?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Buddy, it's all about getting fantasy wins. If my opponent players get injured, that's rough, but it happens.
The man's life, Gopher.
Yes, need the wins after a bad week 1.
I hope to see that happen just so
Okay.
Fake Rat's team can go in the shitter.
Okay. All right.
Which it already is, really.
Well, he's 1-0. I wouldn't say that. Third
Yeah,
most
that's the
points.
luckiest 1-0
He
team
had the
in
third
league.
most points behind you and Ernie. So.
That's the luckiest 1-0 team in the league.
Okay. All right.
If he was playing me, he would have lost last week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Rat, take it away. I'm assuming you're gonna say you're going to 2-0 and finally gonna beat me.
Going to 2-0. I'm getting redemption. You did
Okay.
get 2-0 against me, which was sad last year. Nico Collins is about to score 25 on Sunday night.
Okay.
Devontae Smith is about to get 20 on Monday night.
Okay.
Brock Bowers, 10. Pickens, 10. Ford, 12.
Only 10 for
Mason,
Pickens. Wow.
Mason, 20. Robinson, 15. And you're gonna score a lot though. I think we have a close, high matchup. I'm scared of Skinny D. I'm scared of
Oh, it's Fat D.
Kincaid.
Fat D.
Oh, sorry. I'm scared of Kincaid getting his targets finally.
Okay.
And CD Lamb. I hate him, but he's good.
Okay.
So good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. Yes, good luck.
And to keep putting it out there, I hope the 49ers rest CMC and just give him, I would rather have him
Just out of
on IR for
curiosity, if
7
they
days.
do play him, are you starting
would-
them both? Or are you just starting McCaffrey? I mean, if
I-
they play him, he ain't gonna play full snaps.
Yeah, I probably
Right.
would start. I think I would start Mason because he looked like
Wow, so you would bench McCaffrey, your number
I
one overall
think-
pick, if he's starting.
The reason is because I think at the goal line they would give it to Mason more, the hard work, and he would get the touchdowns. And
Mm.
I just hope they sit him. Honestly, I would rather give him a 7-week IR break and sit him.
7 week? You want him out for 7 weeks?
Yes, I do.
Oh my
Until
god.
week 7 against the Chiefs, bring him back.
What's the
and-
point of the number one overall pick if you just want him out for 7 weeks?
Well,
Shit.
rather than tearing it all
Jesus.
and costing my season,
Oh boy.
then sit him and rest him.
Oh, by
He'll
the
be
way,
back.
Zach, I did ask them earlier before you joined if Zombie or him regretted their number one overall picks
I
yet
do
for
not.
not taking Hill, and they both said no at the moment. But
They're
I
both fucking idiots.
I sense that might change later in the season.
No,
I think it will. I think it will eventually at some point.
not yet.
Not after week 1, but I think it will.
My guy got fucking arrested and he still popped
I
off.
think the only
Your guy
good
can't
thing
even get on the
is
field.
I got
Zombie's
the
guy fumbles.
I got the actual handcuff and Zach didn't.
That is true. If only Zach got drafted Mason instead of Mitchell. Oh, this would be a
My
totally
biggest
this would be a
draft
totally
mistake.
different story.
And
right
I'm not
now.
saying Mason is a 20.
Zach
every
or
week,
Rat would
but
be in full blown panic if
I
he didn't
would.
have
My
Mason. right
biggest
now. Oh
draft
god,
mistake.
yeah. And by the way, Rat got Mason in the final round of the draft.
Yeah.
Zach. Final.
That's heartbreaking. And I got Michael Thomas.
Yeah, that's worthless. Okay.
Me and Michael Thomas had the same amount of points last week.
Yes. All right. And then finally, on to the
TFC.
final matchup of the week. It is the matchup of the week. It's the star-studded one. Ernie versus Zach. Huge, huge game. Now, by the request of Ernie, he has a new team picture to announce, and he wanted me to announce it live on the show. So let me just pull this up real quick here. Ernie will be making this his team photo for this season, or for this week at least. So here is the picture. And so I don't know if anybody's even watching on the Discord, you guys.
Not
but
live in
you will
Discord.
Oh no!
Yeah, but
Why did you say
Unfortunately,
something?
I am driving. What is the picture?
It's
Okay.
it's a picture of Zach with the
It's a
headphones.
picture of you with your cat, and it says at the top takes Viagra, and then at the bottom penis gets smaller, and then it's a picture of you with the cat. So
What cat?
Hi.
black and white cat. I don't
Buddy,
know
is
what
it the
cat
picture I
sees.
sent you?
Possibly, yes. All right. So
What a
that
fag.
will
Did you send that
be
to Ernie?
that will be his team photo for this week, Zach.
Did
He'll
you
update
send
it
that
soon
to
enough.
Ernie?
No, I made him the graphic. He asked me to make him a graphic.
Wow.
He sent me
My
the
own-
meme. He sent me the meme and said put a picture of Zach over it. And then you
my
happened
own
then at the same
graphics
time
man.
I didn't even and then at the same time you just happened to send me both those pictures and the one with the cat. So
Is it the
worked
same?
perfect timing. Yeah, it's the picture of you with the cat.
What the fuck?
It was like magic. Like I was literally DMing him saying, "Do you have any pictures of Zach that you want me to use specifically?" And then you just sent me that one with the cat, so it was perfect timing.
What the
You'll
fuck?
see it. He'll change his profile picture to it.
My own graphics man
Okay.
turned me against me. I'll remember that
All
when,
right,
when I
buddy.
give you your
Well,
tip,
just
buddy.
your graphics are
When
coming
I
up here
give you
pretty
your
soon.
tip, I will remember that.
Your graphics are coming up soon. Let's talk about this massive matchup. It's a battle of 1-0 teams. It's the battle of the two teams that scored the most points in week 1. Both overscored 150 points. Both teams looked great. Which one will get the dub this week is the question. Right now, Sleeper projecting Zach to out-edge Ernie 125 to 121. Big scoring points, though, projection-wise. Zach Lamar Jackson against the Raiders. Great matchup. Should have another huge game, another 20-plus point game. Running, throwing against that Raiders team should be good. Jonathan Taylor against Green Bay. Got in the end zone in week 1. I expect a solid game from him. J.K. all day in there? Wow, in there as RB2 this week against Carolina. I understand it's a great matchup. I understand putting him in there. You just got to hope he doesn't get hurt or that Gus Bus doesn't vulture some of the points. But he had a great week 1, so good matchup. Jameson Williams in there again. Also moved up to wide receiver 1 on the team, apparently. He's in that first wide receiver spot over Tyreek Hill. Against Tampa Bay, he is listed as questionable, but I think he's fine. Obviously, the handcuff man himself, Tyreek Hill, tomorrow night against Buffalo to get Zach started. Should put up a huge game to get Zach off on a good foot. Travis Kelce against Cincinnati on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, we'll see if he bounces back. Jerry Jeudy's still in there against Jacksonville. And Jaden Reed still in there against the Colts with Malik Willis as the quarterback. I don't necessarily know if I love that, especially when he just acquired his boy Justice Hill against the Raiders. But we'll see what Reed can do after his huge game last week. Hard to turn against somebody that just scored 33 points last week. On Ernie's side, he has Patrick Mahomes on that Sunday afternoon against Cincinnati. Saquon Barkley on Monday night. Could come down to Monday night and could come down to Barkley putting up a big game to maybe send Ernie the victory. We'll see. Kyren Williams on Sunday against Arizona. Tank Dell on Sunday night against the Bears. Hollywood Brown in there against Cincinnati. Is it confirmed he's playing this week?
He is not playing.
He's not playing.
Well, he didn't practice today.
Oh, he didn't practice today. Okay, so
If you
that's
click
up in the air.
You click the little thing, it'll tell
Let's
you.
see. If he doesn't play, then I'm assuming Ernie goes with Ridley again against the Jets, possibly. I would guess, because Pierce against Green Bay, I doubt he goes. I'm assuming he'll go with Ridley. Kyle Pitts on Monday night, so he's got 2 Monday night players. Alvin Kamara against the Cowboys should be pretty good, as that offense needs to go through Kamara if they're going to have success. Lad McConkey in there against Carolina, great matchup. I expect another solid game for the rookie. And then Aubrey against the Saints. So that Saints-Cowboys game could have some fireworks based on how they both played in week 1. This is a tough one to predict. I like some matchups on both sides. I'm going to say this. I think if Zach makes a move to Justice Hill and either takes out Judy or Reed. I don't really like both of. I don't like either of them this
Are you
week.
hating on two
I
guys that
don't.
just popped off
I
from the
I
last
I mean, I
week?
wouldn't say Judy popped off. He had like 10 or 11 points, and the touchdown is what saved him. And Deshaun Watson is god
Deshaun
awful.
Watson is gonna get a massage before the game, and he'll be
Okay, yeah, he needs one. But I think there's a couple people on Zach's bench that might be better to start over a few. I think if he keeps the lineup the way it is, I'm gonna take Ernie. So since that's what I'm looking at right now, I'm gonna predict Ernie squeaks out a higher scoring victory. I think both these teams perform pretty well again, but I think Ernie gets the dub in a close victory based on the lineups I see now. Cheese, who's winning?
I am
Choose
gonna
wisely,
take.
T.
Hold on, let me finish.
Death threats could come your way.
Any day,
I was
Cheese.
before I was threatened. I was gonna take my friend Zach.
Oh,
Okay.
but now you're
I
taking
like
ups.
Ernie's team. I like Zach's team. I just don't like that
Buddy,
Hollywood
Ernie's
Brown.
a death threat guy, not me.
Hollywood Brown is not playing. I'm sorry, Ernie. He's not playing.
Hmm.
And I don't like your.
Well, you
gotta
put in
pick-
Calvin Ridley.
That's not like.
Okay.
I mean,
Alright.
it could. It's not as good. And Mahomes, like the last 2 years, has been like he's obviously elite, but like for fantasy purposes,
Hmm.
he hasn't been elite.
Okay.
So we'll see. And I think that I like the Zach's running back matchups a bit more.
Hmm.
I don't think Saquon's gonna get 3 touchdowns again.
JK.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to cut you off, Keys, but tonight you predicted a couple people. You said that the people winning have worse matchups, but you're predicting them to win.
Who did I say that about?
You literally just said Ernie. You said Ernie would win, but
No, I
Or-
said
No,
Zach
he
would
said
win.
he's picking Zach, even though the death threats.
Hey, Greg, you deaf,
I
blind.
didn't
I don't
hear.
want to die, Ernie.
And he
I
picked
really
you
don't.
because of your better matchups against me. So.
Well, you can't wait
And
for
I
my
think
pick.
primetime. You can't really bet against primetime Tyreek Hill.
Nope.
He's gonna pop off.
Yep.
I am not a big Judy fan. I'll say that.
Mhm.
But that's kind of offset by Ernie throwing a random guy in for Hollywood Brown.
I'm just
and,
trying to figure out. Zach spent $27 on Justice Hill, and he's facing the Raiders. Seems like a.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he
No-brainer
subs him in for Judy.
start.
Might be a good call. I also don't think Kamara will like get 22 points again.
Okay.
And
All right, so
and
you're taking
tank.
Zach.
So yeah, I think it'll be a very high scoring matchup for both teams.
Okay. All right, Rat. Who's winning this big matchup?
I can't believe I'm doing this. I said I had a hot take for tonight,
Okay.
Death threats.
and I don't want to do it. I hate the guy because I hope the worst.
Wow.
But Zach is winning this week.
Wow. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how that's a hot take when you took the guy that scored the most points last week
Well,
and is
okay, hold on,
projected
let
to
me
win by
finish.
sleeper.
Let me
So.
finish. I didn't mean hot take. It's
Oh,
just more of a take you wouldn't think, I would say.
Okay. So basically, you're
Because-
putting aside your bias to admit Zach has a decent team right
Yes.
now and is going to win.
I think Ernie's running backs have a better week
Uh-huh.
and quarterback, but the problem is I think his wide receivers put up like a total of 10 points.
Okay.
And Zach's team, Taylor, Dobbins have a good game. And I think Tyreek and Kelsey each put up 20 plus.
Okay.
And Lamar.
Wow.
has
Okay.
yeah.
So big game. All right.
a-
We also we
so
forget we have the Mahomes to Kelsey stack, but on opposite teams. So
Even
that could be a
though,
factor.
Zach's been hating him.
Hmm.
I gotta pick Zach.
Wow. Okay. All right, Zach, are you beating your good friend Ernie? Although Ernie vows that this week will be AIDS. He's already made a graphic of you. He's changed his team name as well to the Premature Ejaculators. Seems like he's going after your penis problems.
I do take the high road in
Oh,
this
okay.
situation as he is my good friend,
Uh-huh.
but there are some wildfires around him. So if I do lose to him and it's his last fantasy game ever because of wildfire death,
Okay.
it would be an honor.
You
but,
may beat him so bad that he sets his own house on fire, potentially.
Oh, then start another wildfire in California.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do agree with Fake Rat that Hill and Kelsey will be popping off.
Okay.
20 plus points for each.
Mhm.
As much as Cheese and Fake Rat were just shitting on my friend Ernie, I don't condone that behavior. Watch out in your mailbox for death threats. At the end
Well,
of the
he won't
day,
have a bookie anymore.
Oh. Okay.
whoa. At the end of the day, I see this one coming down to neck and neck to the wire.
Okay.
It could very well be a tie.
I thought about predicting a tie. I really did. Okay.
I have tie.
Okay. So are you predicting a tie or are you going to win?
I'm predicting a tie.
Wow. I'm not even going to pick yourself. That's surprising. All right. Much respect to Ernie then. All right. All right. Well, there we have it. There are the matchups for this week. Good luck to everybody in week 2.